In this video, Willem and I are on a rare bird chase again, with our main targets being the falcated duck and Iberian chiffchaff, but hopefully we'll see loads of other rare species. Hi, I'm the Dutch birder, and 2025 is my 17th year of birding. This year I'm on a quest to document at least 250 different bird species. Join me on my quest through wetlands and forest of the small European country called the Netherlands. Our first stop was the port of Rotterdam, more precisely the northern side of the Rozenburg Peninsula. It might not be the typical nature reserve you'd think of for birdwatching, but even in places like this, rare birds can show up, like the falcated duck, which has now been spotted here for the third year in a row. The falcated duck is not only beautiful, with its stunning green and bronze head feathers, but also incredibly rare, with only 13 records ever in the Netherlands. This species is a migratory bird from East Asia, meaning it has traveled an enormous distance to get here. At the reported spot, we saw a common sandpiper resting on a breakwater, a widespread migrant but a very rare breeder in the Netherlands. Around this time of year, it's easy to tell it apart from the spotted sandpiper from America, which already shows dark spots on its belly. Either way, another new species for the film year list. There were also a few ducks resting on the rocks, including some teal. At the far end of the breakwater, a cormorant was also taking a break. And just behind the cormorant was the bird we had come all this way to see, the falcated duck. The falcated duck is a dabbling duck, which means it feeds by tipping forward on the water rather than diving completely. Other typical dabblers include the mallard, teal, widgeon and gadwall, the latter being its closest genetic relative. Occasionally, they also eat small animals like insect larvae, snails and tiny crustaceans. Because they consume many seeds and travel long distances, they likely help with plant dispersal. Recently, some great photos of this bird have been shared, but that doesn't mean we'd get close views ourselves. Today it was swimming quite far out. I did consider walking out onto the pier to get closer, but it was very slippery, with a serious risk of falling. Not great for either my body or my camera. Also, the pier was being used as a resting spot for other birds, which I didn't want to disturb. In the end, I'm still happy with the footage. It's sharp and you get a sense of the surroundings too. The English name falcated duck comes from the Latin word falx, means sickle. It refers to the bird's distinctive curved shoulder feathers. So the falcated duck was partly a success. On the one hand, we found it very quickly, but on the other hand it was pretty far out, so didn't get the best shots, but happy it didn't take too much of a time. We're now going to the Maasvlakte to search for rare birds ourselves, like a wryneck, or hopefully a subalpine warbler, or maybe something even rarer. The Maasvlakte is one of the Netherlands' best known rarity magnets. The combination of open, sparsely vegetated land sticking far out into the sea makes it a hotspot where migrants are more likely to pause and easier to find. Add to that the fact that it sits at the entrance of one of the world's busiest harbors, and there's always a chance of a bird hitching a ride on a ship. Some of the rarest birds in the country have been found here. In October 2019, I even discovered a dartfoot warbler here, just the 13th record ever for the Netherlands. Every time I come back, I dream of finding something like that again. We've just found a male ringolzel, always a nice species to come across. And Willem thought he saw a piped wagtail. That's a real target species for us, we really want to get it on the year list. But we've lost it, so we have to refine it. The pied wagtail seemed to have vanished without a trace, but we did spot a white wagtail, which, due to heat shimmer through the binoculars, seemed to have an unusual head pattern. It turned out to be just a local bird, not one of the ultra-rare subspecies that sometimes show up in Europe. A bit further along, a small head popped up just above the grass. It turned out to be a female wheatear, a species that feels at home here thanks to the many rabbit burrows in the area. Another bird was perched on one of the many evening primrose plants, After a while, it even moved closer, unfortunately mostly facing away from the camera. A small flock of linnets was also feeding in the field, with a few birds occasionally landing on the dike. Of course, you always hope for something like an Ottoman bunting among them, but no luck this time. Even though the field south of the road is now being built on, there are still interesting birds from time to time. Not long ago, a very rare eastern subalpine warbler was seen in one of the thickets. This time we only found a female blackcap. Still, it's a fun little patch to explore. You can walk through it, stay hidden, and watch songbirds as they pass during their foraging rounds. In the only other patch of scrub still standing, we found two birds, another ringwoozle and a surprisingly tame lesser whitethroat. Probably very hungry after migration, it didn't seem to care about us at all. The bird gave us plenty of time to observe and film it, resulting in my best footage ever of this usually shy species. It helped that it stayed mostly a leafless sea buckthorn, making it easy to follow. A good tip to quickly rule out Orphean warblers in spring is to look for the dark eye, typical for a lesser whitethroat. We had quite some fun at the Maasvlakte, with two ringwoozles, a couple of northern wheatears and a lesser whitethroat, but we didn't find the rare bird we were looking for, so we are now at our next location, where a sitting cisticola has been reported. A bit annoying was the fact that a wood chipper had just started up near the location, grinding down cut branches. Luckily, it didn't last long and we could start searching again. In the area, we found several non-native geese, either escaped or introduced in the past. One of them was this Canada goose. In the ditch beside us, a gadwall was swimming through a beam of sunlight, a beautiful sight. In the corner of the ditch, we saw a coot standing on a floating platform made of plant material, a funny little scene. Soon after, we heard the bird we were looking for, singing from the reed bed. A repeated zit, zit sound, but spotting it turned out to be quite tricky. One annoying thing about the sitting cisticola is that it often sings in flight. That makes it easier to find, but much harder to film when perched. The problem is, when the bird is silent, it tends to hide in tall grass or reeds, making it very hard to spot. On top of that, the only clear view over the area was from a fence, as most of the surrounding reeds were too tall to see through. At one point it sounded like the bird was singing while perched. We still couldn't locate it, so I climbed the fence for a higher vantage point. In the end, it was Willem who spotted the sitting cisticola through his scope. Even then, I couldn't find it myself right away, but after a few tries looking through Willem's scope, I finally managed to get it on camera. The bird was quite far, and the heat distortion was pretty intense, but the footage turned out recognizable, and definitely my best shots of this species so far. The sitting cisticola is originally a southern species and is quite common around the Mediterranean Sea. Because winters have been mild, more and more birds that arrive during migration survive and end up staying. As a result, they have been increasing in numbers in the Netherlands, with more and more breeding pairs being found. One nice trait of this species is that it sings all day long, while most birds are only vocal in the early morning or around sunset. The cisticola also has a long breeding season. In the Netherlands, they typically show up in April or May, but there's often a second wave in August, and even then they might still breed. In winter, some remain here too, but because they don't sing, they're much harder to find. A bit distant, but still I'm very happy with these shots of the sitting cisticola. Oh, I've tried for so many times to get decent shots of this species. Last year there was one in my backyard, the Onlanden, but that was too far away to get any recognizable shots, but now I have them. The bird has now flown all the way into the back of the area, so that's a bit of a shame. We are hoping it will come closer, we're giving it about 15 minutes. And if not, we're going to search for some great partridges, because someone sent us a location. Just when we were about to leave, the sitting cisticola started singing again. So we waited a few more minutes, but it never came any closer. So we are now almost at the spot of the great partridges. Let's see if we can find them. We were hoping to spot partridges in a field with short grass near a parking lot, The habitat looked perfect, but no luck, just a few gadwalls. Even in the taller grass, nothing. So we got out of the car to walk around. After a while, Willem spotted 2 partridges foraging in a horse paddock. We slowly got closer and circled around for a better view. From here, we had a great close-up look. Because of poaching risk and the species' sharp decline in numbers, sightings are hidden on public birding websites. Luckily, we're not poachers, just filming and observing before leaving them in peace. On my way back, I noticed a raptor flying overhead. It circled for a moment, giving me time to adjust the camera settings. It was a sparrowhawk. You can tell by the narrow hips, long pointed tail and lack of a visible neck. Nice, didn't take us long to find the grey partridges. Willem saw them in a field with short grass, so that was easy. We also bumped into Roel Oliman, the finder of the sole record of Eastern Olivaceous warbler in the Netherlands, so that was really cool. We're now going to search for the pied wagtail. The Nieuwe Driemanspolder is a newly created area, made by flooding farmland. Some corners now have shallow wetlands with footpaths running through them. The area is open and easy to scan, and because it's located in the most densely populated part of the Netherlands, it's a popular spot for birders. That's also why so many rare birds have been found here, like long-billed dowitcher, lesser skok and the falcated duck featured earlier in this video. This area even produced 2 new species for the country, a non-twitchable bobolink and last year's canvasback. While walking to the next location, I noticed 3 flamingos flying by. These ringbirds are part of a population that breeds in the Zwilbrocker Fen just over the border in Germany. Half of that group are descendants of escaped Chilean flamingos. The origin of the European flamingos in the group is unknown, but we do know that wild ones from the Mediterranean have been seen in the Netherlands. Further along, on a small peninsula, we saw a group of gulls and terns. Earlier that morning, a Caspian tern, a Mediterranean gull, and a little gull had been seen here. They weren't around anymore, but there was still a small group of common terns, a new addition to the year list. At the spot where the pied wagtail had been seen in recent days, there were no wagtails at first, but there was an avocet nesting here. Surprisingly, this might be the safest avocet nest in the Netherlands. With so many people walking by, no predator dares to come near. I kept walking, but Willem stayed behind. Soon I found some wagtails, but they turned out to be yellow wagtails. Still, yellow wagtails are stunning birds, and the ones here were so used to people, they let me get quite close. A great chance to get out the camera and enjoy. But the moment didn't last long. The pied wagtail suddenly flew in and landed right in front of Willem. I hurried back, and luckily the bird stayed put and showed itself beautifully. These turned out to be my best shots of the species so far, something I said a few times already this episode. The pied wagtail is the British counterpart to our white wagtail. Many migrate through each year, mostly along the coast, especially in early March. A few are still seen through the summer, but in winter they're very rare. Yes, Willem just found the pied wagtail. Everything is going so great today. Ha, lovely. With the target bird secured, it was time to head back to the car. We still wanted to add more species to the year list. On the way, I saw a pair of red-crested pochards swimming nearby. I managed to get a low angle shot, but in the middle of the day, heat shimmer makes filming at this level tough. It causes some loss of image quality. After getting both targets at the Nieuwe Driemanspolder, the grey partridge and the pied wagtail, we are now in the dunes near Wassenaar searching for a hoopoe. The hoopoe, with its orange plumage, black and white butterfly-like wings and striking crest, is one of the most beautiful birds you can see in the Netherlands. It's a rare migrant and an extremely rare breeder, but this year many more were seen than usual. One had been reported this morning, and later we got a message from a birding friend who also found it and said it was even singing. Since singing might suggest a breeding attempt, sightings of singing birds are usually hidden online, but with a good description of the spot we found the place quickly. We were hopeful, but there were plenty of places the bird could be hiding, like the garden behind this fenced building. I checked from different angles, but couldn't spot the bird. Willem had no luck either, and so a lucky streak of finding all our target species finally came to an end. We've been searching for quite some time now, but no trace of a hoopoe. This morning it was singing, so it was easy, but most birds stop singing after the morning, so I guess this will be the first dip of the day. But I'm not giving up just yet. After checking a few more spots, we had to accept the dip. Even a loudly singing nightingale stayed hidden, so we couldn't count it for the challenge yet. We indeed dipped on the hoopoe, but it was the least important target of the day, so I'm not that bothered. We are now at our next location, where a tawny pipit has been seen. The tawny pipit used to breed in the Netherlands until 2003, but due to overgrowth of the open sandy areas it likes, it's now extinct here. Numbers are also declining in other parts of Northwest Europe. If you still want to see one easily, you need to go to Southern Europe, or get lucky, like we did, with one stopping during migration. The pipit had been reported on a small island in the river, so we started searching. We first found two little ringed plovers bickering with each other. Then, to our great surprise, the tawny pipit walked straight towards us. It even perched confidently on a pile of dung, just a few meters away. It snapped at a fly, stretched a bit, and then went on feeding in the field. And with that beautiful tawny pipit, we end the birding day. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and also leave a like and a comment. It would be highly appreciated, and I'll see you next time.